Before I joined the Craft Academy, I had no idea how to find clients, like no idea where to look, how to like get myself out there. I would probably try to work with a client and say, okay, the event goes from 12 to 6, let's say. At 3 o'clock, I'm going to take 20 minutes to pump. So that's when I know the break is going to be. Make sure they know that that's when the break is going to be. Invest in yourself and give yourself the opportunity to be better and to do what you love to do and be successful in it.
Yeah. So like not doing what everyone else is doing just because you see them being successful doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should and want to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just giving yourself the opportunity to be successful in your own way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. And today we have an amazing person, Kristin. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Super excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you as well. I know it's been a while since we last did your interview, which was October of 2022. It's under the live section of YouTube where we actually talk about all things contracts and lawyer tips for calligraphers. And so that's a super helpful resource. If you guys have not watched it already, I'd highly recommend that you do. Kristin is our resident lawyer for the Craft Academy. And it's just been amazing having her in the program. And she actually has an awesome new update for us. So Kristin, do you want to share your exciting news?
Yeah. So in August of this year, I actually had a baby, my first little one. Her name's Abigail. She's almost 3 months old.
So the main reason why I wanted to ask you to do this interview is because I'm also pregnant. Thank you. So obviously, Kristin didn't know prior to the recording. This is her surprise. So my main goal for January coming through. So we're recording this now on November 1st of 2023. I haven't announced it on social media yet. Barely some of my friends and family know. So we're keeping it kind of under wraps until things are, really, really good. So this interview is going to land in January or get published in January. So there's a whole series on mompreneurs, being able to balance different things. Like Kristin is planning on going back to her full-time job as a lawyer. She also is planning on continuing her business as a calligrapher, in addition to moving, you can see behind her, and having a new baby. So it's going to be really good. I think it'll be super educational for all of us mompreneurs, whether you're new or experienced, just to kind of hear your experience, what your plan is, and how you're going to balance everything.
I will say, right now, since it's so early, I kind of taking it day by day, to be honest. I start back at my job on Monday, actually next week. So I'm looking forward to that because it's like adult conversation, and I haven't had that besides with like my husband and my mom for 3 months.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it really is about time management and giving yourself grace too. I mean, the first couple of months on maternity leave, I really didn't do any calligraphy stuff. I didn't, obviously I was on maternity leave from my full-time job too. And I really just focused on taking care of my baby and also taking care of myself and like making sure that I was giving myself grace and not getting too stressed out about, oh my gosh, I need to send this email out to this client for holiday or for, the next couple of months and see what's going on. And knowing that will always be there, right? And, you don't have to I know it's good to get a jump up on things, but the client's going to be there when you reach back out to them, right? And just making sure that you're taking care of yourself. And like I said, taking care of your little one.
The newborn phase is just so fleeting. Like the time goes by so fast. I feel like you just gave birth and now you're going back to work on Monday, which is crazy.
They say that you have a newborn for 8 weeks or something. And
right.
In it feels like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? When are we going to get to the next phase, right? But you have to really try to be in the moment and not worry about it and focus on taking it day by day.
So how are you planning on balancing your full-time job with the baby and the business?
Definitely leaning on the help that I have. I'm really fortunate in that my husband is going to take his paternity leave towards the end of November, and then he'll be off until January. So that will be really helpful. And then, my mom lives close, so she has been super helpful too. And I'm just going to continue to kind of lean on their support and their help and really utilizing the time management skills that I developed even before I was pregnant, and, that we all know as small business owners and creatives that we have to have, and utilizing those skills to be able to make the most of the time that I have in the best way that I can.
Yeah. Amazing. It's nice that your husband is able to take paternity leave in like the middle of holiday season. Have you reached out to any of your clients yet to book these holiday events?
Yeah, so a couple of them I have reached out, and I've actually had a few new clients come out to me as well. So, the SEO is definitely working. The things that I've learned through the Craft Academy it's doing its job. So it's been really nice. I've been able to communicate with some of them and get some events set up so far. Like I said, this holiday season, I really do feel like it's about giving myself grace and not overloading myself. I did that a little bit last year. I was very newly pregnant during the holiday season. And so you don't want to push yourself too hard. And I'm still kind of in that mindset this year. Hopefully by next year and the following years, ready to kind of really fully dive in and one of those crazy busy holiday seasons.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize you were pregnant last year during the holiday season.
Yeah.
I just remember being super excited with like my first real busy holiday season. I was like, I want to do like every single event that comes my way. And I like remember getting super burnt out with it. I cannot even imagine being pregnant in the first trimester, also trying to do that. So I think that's a really good learning lesson. And I feel like pregnancy in itself, and even I'm sure motherhood is the same way, but it's really humbling to be pregnant and to raise a human being. There's nothing that reminds you of your mortality more than being pregnant and not owning your body.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I was lucky that my pregnancy was pretty easy, but definitely towards the end, like third trimester on, I remember I traveled down to, I'm based in Columbus, and I traveled to Cincinnati, which is about an hour and a half away for an event. And I was 38 weeks pregnant, I think, at that point. Yeah, this probably wasn't the best idea, but it was my last event. I wanted to kind of go out on a good note. And it does remind you of like, oh yeah, okay, I'm human. I have to like listen to my body, right? Listen to my feelings, my body, and make sure that you have to take care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to be there for your child and your partner and your family. So
such a good reminder. I cannot believe you traveled at 38 weeks. Like you could have given birth.
Yeah, it was not the best decision on my part, but it was a fun event.
Yeah. Didn't you also have a studio order prior to giving birth?
Yes, I did. I finished it in like record time. It was my first week of maternity leave. So I think I was 38 and a half weeks pregnant at that point. Knowing that it was a studio order and I could really just like knock it out, right? Like I could sit down at my desk, knock out it was envelopes for a wedding. And it was a big order. It was like 160 envelopes with return addresses and inner envelope. It was pretty substantial, but I just kind of kept it in the back of my mind thinking like, okay, think about the paycheck and then think about like once you're done, you're going to lay on the couch. You don't have to do anything. And I was really proud of myself for getting it done. I don't think people realize like how exhausting that is, right? Like it was a good test of like my kind of endurance, right? And like when I put my mind to something, I know that I'm capable of doing it.
That's really good self-awareness on your end. So I wanted to back up to something that you mentioned earlier, which is, SEO and doing some of the work that you've already done. Can you tell us, because I know you've been in the program for at least a year and a half now?
I think it's about 2 years now.
Almost 2 years. Yay.
Before holiday in 2021.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Like, I feel like we've just met.
Oh,
so cool. So you've had 2 years in the Craft Academy in addition to the amount of time prior to joining TCA in your business. So you have experience, you have some foundations already. Can you tell us about what actually helped you to be able to build those foundations, build the SEO, your website, and what was really working for you on the back end while you were out?
Before I joined the Craft Academy, I had no idea how to find clients, like no idea where to look, how to like get myself out there. I had a website, but it wasn't anything special. And since joining TCA, your resources that you put together and like the community that it is like, I mean, it's worth its weight in gold, like truly. And even just the SEO, that I think is huge for me because that's how I get most of my clients is they find me through either Instagram or like a Google search. And we all know Google is huge with SEO. So building on the topics and the guidance that you provided in the SEO chapter itself, that I think was really what was working for me in the background while I've been out and has continued to keep me on the radar of those clients that are looking in this area for sure.
So I know you were gone for at least 3 months. You had plenty of opportunities coming in through your inbox from your website and your SEO. Did you ever feel like you were missing out on any of those opportunities? And how did you handle that?
There were a couple that I definitely had to turn down and say no, just due to timing and me being so soon after having a baby. Like, I'm just not going to be able to make this work. Mostly like traveling jobs, like like before I would be like, yeah, heck yeah, let's go to Chicago. But I think I was just so focused on, like I said, taking care of myself. And a big part of that was taking care of my new baby and like making sure that she had what she needed from me. It's crazy how it changes like that, right? People say that and they're like, you'll never know love like a baby or whatever. But it really does. Like this little being is like the center of my world now. It's definitely, yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of FOMO of like, oh, I wish I could like travel. But then I look at my kid and I'm like, nah, it's okay.
It's
like, yeah. And there'll be other opportunities, you know, I mean, I'm presumably going to continue this business for a while. And, you know, when she's a little bit older and I'm able to kind of go away for a few days, then, you know, they'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of mindset that really went into your decision making and just being okay with not taking every single opportunity and prioritizing your center of the universe, your baby. And I think that is amazing. Let's kind of dive into like the tactical advice portion of the interview. I would love to share with our listeners, what were some things that you prioritized prior to maternity leave to set yourself up for success during maternity leave?
To be honest, I don't know that I really did much. You know, I didn't put like an out of office or anything on my email because I don't get like bombarded with emails anyway. I feel like I have a pretty healthy relationship with my email inbox right now, which is nice because I didn't always feel that way. But you just think I really focused on getting in that mindset of, you know, you're going to be taking a break. It's going to be needed. It's necessary. But when the time comes that you're ready to jump back in, the resources will be there, right? Like I can jump back into the modules to remind myself, okay, let me write a new, you know, 90-day letter. Let me, you know, jump back into the module for SEO and make sure that my SEO and my website is up to date. Because I've made some updates to my website as well. Got some new product and service offerings, which is great. And just making sure that I'm staying current and doing a lot of like that back end work so that I know when the time comes that somebody's looking for an embroidery artist in Columbus, that my name pops up in their search, or, you know, that I really do have the focus for the next 90 days in my mind when I'm ready to jump back in, which was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's really good planning. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your tactical information and just giving a little bit of a peek to how to prepare for maternity leave. When you got those opportunities in your inbox, did you subcontract? Did you just refer out to different calligraphers? Like, how did you handle that if you weren't able to take it on yourself?
I really just referred to other people. I kind of was like, I don't even want the, you know, like duty of having to subcontract and manage that. So I was definitely just, hey, here's another calligrapher in the area, or here's somebody that I think would be great. You know, I'm not in the market to do this right now because I just had a baby. So, and people were super understanding. Like, you know, as soon as you're like, oh yeah, I have like a 4-week-old at home, they're like, oh my gosh, okay. So
yeah, I do feel a little self-conscious about, you know, telling my clients that I'm pregnant. And I don't know why. Maybe it feels somewhat like a disability, or that I'm like potentially not able to.
I mean, yeah, technically it is. So. Right? But I would say, I mean, if you're not comfortable sharing, then just don't, right? Just say, I have other commitments, or I have, you know, family obligation, or you are not entitled to tell anybody. Even as somebody who was employed, not self-employed, right? Like I didn't have to tell my employer. No, I don't think that it's, if you're not comfortable, or if it's a client that, obviously we have different relationships with different clients, right? If it's somebody that you're like, yeah, I'm comfortable with this client to tell them, then you're not required to tell anybody.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I appreciate that. Coming from the lawyer herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have told some of my clients, just a handful of them, and they're usually really excited, congratulatory, and things like that. So it's probably just in my own head and my own insecurity because this has never happened to me before. So don't be afraid. Yeah, share when you're ready. I think that's the moral of the story here.
And as much as you want. I mean, you don't have to give them all the details. You can just say, I'm pregnant. I'm going to be taking some time around this time. And that's all they need to know.
Yeah. So are you planning on reopening the business at the same time, or what's your timeline looking like?
And I've started kind of replying to inquiries even now for holiday, right? Just kind of gearing myself up for what that's going to look like and see what my weekends and my weeknights are looking like. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it never really closed. It just took a break. You know, I kind of moved some things around, directed people to other calligraphers, like we said. But
so yeah, I think really picky about the events that you do.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, focusing more on kind of repeat clients, or like really cool, maybe events that like influencer events or things like that are happening. So trying to just kind of, be a little bit more selective.
How cool is it that you're at that point in your business where you can be selective?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So cool. Like I said, 2 years ago, or before I joined the TCA, I was like, every opportunity I could get, I was like, yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being able to really be selective. And I think part of it is, calligraphy is not my full-time job. I would probably feel more pressure if it was, but knowing that, it's for me right now, it's an extra added source of income and just a way for me to live out my passion and what I want. So
yeah, and really just focus in on your creativity and have fun with it, right? And that's the most important thing, is if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then there's really no point in doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then you'll just get burnt out and then want to focus on your baby anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably feel guilty for not focusing as much on her.
Yes, mom guilt. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I guess one other question that I had, as a new pending mom, are you breastfeeding?
Yes. So I am pumping and formula feeding. So we're combo feeding is what they call it. Learn all that lingo as you.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the TikTok videos.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure your algorithm, as soon as you
yeah.
keep on that stick or whatever, they're like, oh, we got to start showing her baby registry things. Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly. If you do have to go to an event, are you bringing the pump with you? How does that work?
So I haven't had to figure that out yet. I've got 2 events coming up this weekend. So we'll kind of see. I think what I'm going to try to do is just work my pumping schedule around the event, because they're both about 4 hours. So I've got a little bit of leeway time there to be able to do the event and then, not have to pump in the middle of it. That's a really good question and a good point. I feel like, if you're not in the situation that I'm in and you do, need to pump during an event or in those, I think it's just a really open and honest conversation with the client and saying I, legally am allowed this time, right? And, this is the time that I'm going to take it, use it as a break or whatever during the event, and just be really upfront and clear with them and say, this is something that I need to do.
I guess I would just feel bad because pumping, doesn't that take 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, what you're kind of pump for as long or as little as you want. And just if you're just kind of trying to get relief and make sure that you're keeping a schedule, then you don't maybe necessarily have to pump for as long as, and you can kind of bookend it too, right? Where before the event, you pump a little bit longer, and then after the event, you pump a little bit longer. I never nursed, so I am not, an expert or have any experience in that kind of thing, but it's definitely possible. I mean, people have done it, right? I know that Jody from Someday, I remember when she was a new mom and she was talking about all of that stuff with her stuff too. So I think for the most part, I feel like clients are pretty understanding of that, especially if it's another mom, right?
Right.
They're gonna know, or they're gonna, have that experience and be open to it. So I think it's just a matter of understanding what your relationship is with the client and just being really open and honest. And if you have to be a little bit more stern about, hey, this is a legally required thing that I need, I think you don't necessarily have to be that hard about it.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that we talked about in our coaching call yesterday was someone who worked a 6-hour event with Dior, and it was non-stop the entire 6 hours. And me just preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, I can imagine myself being set up for a 6-hour event and having to pump in the middle, but being really busy and having to take 20 minutes out of that to pump and being paid for it, right? Because you wouldn't say it's an unpaid break. It would be kind of worked in there, especially with California labor laws. How would you handle that if it came up?
I think from the beginning, I would probably try to work with the client and say, okay, the event goes from 12 to 6, let's say. At 3 o'clock, I'm going to take 20 minutes to pump. So that's when I know the break is going to be. Make sure they know that that's when the break is going to be. And if it has to move a little bit around that, then so be it. But making sure that they have the understanding that this is when I'm planning to take this break that I'm legally entitled to from the get-go, right? Not springing it on them at 2:45 and saying, oh, by the way, in 15 minutes, I'm going to go pump. Write it into the contract too, right? Have the specific time outlined in the contract, because a lot of times, you do have break times written in, right? And so that would be just another example of that. Or, the understanding that, okay, I'm going to take 20 minutes to pump, but I'll stay 20 minutes later to make up for that time that I missed so that that any clients that maybe didn't get their bottle engraved or whatever, it'll be pushed back a little bit, but it'll get done. Right.
Yeah. And there's so many like different situations that this could arise in, right? With the Dior event that was in a retail space, they're open much longer than the 6-hour window. So you are able to stay a little longer. Mm-hmm. However, if it was at an influencer event where the event was specifically from 12 to 4, you don't have that opportunity to stay later or come earlier because that's when our influencer guests are coming. So that's one of those things that you also have to kind of communicate. I think in that case, I would pump on the way and then pump on the way home. So I think this was a really great conversation and definitely helps me feel a little bit better about what's to come when I give birth. So thank you for sharing. And I know that was maybe TMI, but I hope that helps Mom-Preneur.
And like once you come through it, it's like you're so used to it. It's like whatever. Yeah. If that makes sense. But in my mom brain.
Yeah, it's so normal for you. Yeah. Right. So like it's one of those things that you do multiple times a day. And now it's part of the lifestyle that you have.
Exactly. Yeah. And you'll learn, I mean, when I first started, I was thinking I was going to be an exclusive pumper, as they call it, and only give my baby breast milk, no formula, all that stuff. And it really took a toll on my mental health because I felt like I was tied to this pump. I couldn't get away from it. And it's hard when you have a, 6-day-old baby who's crying and you're sitting there pumping and you're like, I can't, it's so hard. So I really had to sit down and, my husband and I talked about it, but he's been so supportive. And I know that your husband will be so supportive of anything that you decide, and bed is best. And we just, decided I was going to cut way back on my pumping. And it's been, it was an adjustment at first, but it's been wonderful for my mental health. And I really do feel like I'm a lot more able to be there for my baby. Right? So
yeah, that's an interesting balance of wanting to be there for your baby to feed them, but also be there mentally to support them and be present.
Oh yeah. It's like I have said this whole interview, you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're not there, then nothing else matters.
Yeah. Like if you're on the airplane and something happens, you have to oxygenate yourself first.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Kristin, for sharing all of your mom expertise and how you're preparing for this new chapter. I do have a couple questions that we love to ask all of our interviewees. Just to close, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about investing in themselves?
I mean, I guess I would say just do it. Like you're never going to regret taking the time to make yourself better, invest in yourself and give yourself the opportunity to be better and to do what you love to do and be successful in it. So yeah, sometimes we don't maybe have the monetary means to do it, or something big like a pregnancy or something is standing in the way, or, you've got other things going on in your life maybe, but when you have that opportunity and you really feel like, okay, this is my chance, even though it's scary, like just do it. I've never one single day regretted my decision to invest in TCA and invest in myself, like not one single day.
I love that. And I love seeing all of your success, you being able to balance yourself as a new mom, going back to your lawyer job and being super specific about who you're working for now and which jobs you actually take, which is amazing. Like you've made so much progress in 2 years and I'm so happy to see all of your success. The last question that I ask everyone, what would you tell yourself when you first started your business, knowing what you know now?
I would just say, give yourself time. I started my business thinking, I'm going to be this great. I started doing weddings, right? And I'm going to be the #1 wedding calligrapher in Colombus really quick. And it's going to be so easy. And so, I guess not so easy, but it's going to come and, it's not going to be that hard. And obviously learned really quickly that that's not the case. And I found a passion for, events and private client work and things like that, rather than weddings and those kinds of things. I don't think I would have been to the point where I am now if I didn't give myself grace and give myself time to find those passions. So I would just say, give yourself the time to find out what you really enjoy and try different things. But once you find the thing that really is your passion, right, your niche, like narrow down into that and really feed it and make it your own.
Yeah. So like not doing what everyone else is doing just because you see them being successful doesn't necessarily mean that's what you should and want to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just giving yourself yourself the opportunity to be successful in your own way.
Yes. Amazing. Okay, last question.
Yes.
Do you have any last pieces of advice for new moms, current mompreneurs, anyone who is trying to balance multiple jobs?
I am in no way an expert in any of this. For me, it really is just about like leaning into the little village that you create for yourself, right? Whether that's you and your husband, or, you know, you and your partner, or your parents, or, you know, friends and family that are close by, or friends that have, you know, kids. One of my really good, actually my maid of honor from my wedding, she was pregnant at the same time as me with her second child. But it was so nice to be able to like share things and like text her and be like, is this weird? Like, what's going on here? Like weird questions and things that, you know, just finding that community and really digging into it and making sure that you have that support, because it's huge. Like I don't know how people do this on their own. Like it's hard, even with a community and with a little village, and however you have to make it, if it's friends, family, coworkers, whatever it is, you know, TCA people, right?
Yeah.
Like we're here for you.
100% agree with everything you said, especially because you were working as a full-time lawyer while you were in your first trimester with the events and things. My first trimester, I was like comatose on the couch. Like I couldn't even get up. So like I don't know how you did it, truly.
So we'd come out of a meeting and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Take like 20 minutes, like block my time on my calendar, take a 20-minute nap, get up, keep working. Like, yeah, you know.
Superwoman over here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you so much, Kristin, for offering your words of wisdom. Hopefully this interview helps someone who is new to the journey or has been a mompreneur for a while. Where can people find you and learn from you if they want to ask you questions?
So I'm Lettered by Kristin on Instagram, Kristin. And then my website is just letteredbykristen.com.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Thank you so much, Kristin, for sharing your words of wisdom. I know we've been together for 2 years now. I'm honestly just amazed at everything you do, all of the wisdom and generosity you give us as a community. And, you know, thank you so much for being our resident lawyer and asking, you know, answering any contract questions that we might have.
You're keeping toes, so I love it.
Yes. You've just been a valuable asset to our program, to our community since you joined 2 years ago. And I honestly can't imagine, you know, the program or the community being without you. So thank you so much, Kristin. Love you so much. I'm so excited for your
I'm excited for you.
I'm nervous as heck. I don't know if you can tell that.
Oh, I totally get it. It's scary, but it's good. You'll be great.
And I feel like I've been talking to so many moms in TCA even prior to getting pregnant that I have a little bit of an inkling of how I might be able to handle it. But, you know, thinking is totally different than doing in the reality of the situation. So I'm just trying to prepare for the worst and, you know, hope for the best. For anyone else who's watching and hasn't heard about TCA yet, it is a step-by-step coaching program built to help you go from 0 clients and an expensive hobby to working with your dream brand, building the business of your dreams. It's got templates, pitches, emails, literally everything you need for your business building we have for you. So if you want to join us and a bunch of other mompreneurs and even other people who balance full-time jobs, definitely feel free to apply for the Craft Academy at wandercrafter.com/apply and then see if we are a good fit for each other. And even if we're not, we want to continue supporting you and getting to know you as a community. So thank you so much, Kristin. You are amazing. I wish you the best of luck with your next mom journey. I'm looking forward to supporting you throughout your move and any upcoming amazing changes.
So thanks, Rosie.
Oh my gosh, thank you.